Yeah, my name is Bob Pearce. I'm from Darton. Been there 20 years. I used to be a shearer years ago, and then I got involved in transport and moved over to Adelaide in '89 when things were very tough in Victoria. The drought was going on there and there was no work, and we picked up work over there and got into the Riverland carting onions. We used to cart 150 loads every week from the middle of January till the middle of August every year. That was between roughly about 15 of us small contractors. I had 6 trucks, employed 10 people. Then in 2008, Penny Wong sacked us all. And people laugh at me when I tell this story. Not only me, there's thousands of other workers. She cut the water off to South Australia. I think you'd all remember that, when she cut the water. All those farms over there now have all gone broke. I've taken my partner and showed her where we used to work and the beautiful farms. They employed 40 people, and today all those big wheels on irrigation, food for the country, no, there's none of it. You might see an odd potato farm, but 150 loads every week with all that work created. That's not the potatoes, that's just the onions. I travelled up and down the Darling River, right up into Queensland, for 30 years, a bit over 30 years. I watched the Darling River go through droughts, terrible conditions, the abuse of the river. I've worked up there carting wheat, Walgett stuff, seen what went on with up there. I won't name those big farmers that could be in trouble now because I've seen it happen. I've been out in their properties. And it's a disgrace, and it's all under here, money under here for politicians. They all say the Darling River can't be fixed. All we hear is all these stories about using the water. They do. It can be controlled. It's like the water going out here on Hay now. Why are those farms been allowed to build dams out there in the last few years when we've got a water shortage? Does anyone here know where the Darling River starts? Where, mate?
At the source.
Where?
At the source. Up at the head at Mount Wilson's Peak.
Burke.
Well,
just out of
the
Burke?
name of the Darling, but the water starts.
No, I'm talking about the Darling River.
The Darling River proper, where the Coca-Cola comes in.
Yeah, most people don't know
Yeah.
the rivers that feed the Darling River.
Yeah.
Do you know how many rivers feed the Darling River?
Yeah.
5.
How many?
More than that.
Colgo, the Castlereagh, the Colgo, the Glider, the Namoy, the Castlereagh.
12. 12 rivers. A big part of our water comes from up Canberra down along that side. And the one river feeds a couple of rivers out of Queensland, and one's the Balone. That runs into St George, where the weir is. Then the Colgo River starts out of that river, and that's when Covey Station, many years ago, were asked to build that dam because that floodwater was so severe, it just flooded all those farms right through. They weren't cotton farms then, they still aren't today, some of them are. And that flooded that area that they couldn't work those farms for 3 years. And old Joe Bielgi Peterson give them the right to build that weir to save the farms. And people don't understand that. We could have the Darling River running tomorrow if we had some brains from our people. This is not only government, this is the people that don't understand the rivers. And they really don't. I go and ask so many meetings now, no one can tell me anything about the rivers, and I'm a silly old trucker, I've been called that many times. You don't know what you're talking about. The last election, I had the greatest blue in at Darton with a greenie who said, we've got to do... I said, what do you think they done 100 years ago in the Murray River and the Darling system? She said, all the weirs let the water go. And I said, when you go back to school on Monday, get your history book out and find out when the first weir was built. That was 99 years ago. They never had any weirs in the Murray River. That's how the environment was just a natural flow of nature. Now we can control it if we look after the water, but we've let all these people come in, build farms everywhere. It's just like I was over in Adelaide before Christmas and I'm coming back and I pulled up, they're putting in almond trees everywhere. Why? How do they get these things through? I don't know. I've asked politicians here and I'm that confused of what's going on, but we can get the water running through. And I don't know whether the elders here, you've been on the land all your lives, go back through your history, where would you try and get water from to make that Darling River run?
Nature took care of itself.
Beg your pardon, mate?
Mother Nature took care of itself. The river was not desecrated by
No, but it's still...
towns and everything like that.
Excuse me, Bob. Bob, that is his name, isn't it? Bob? It's not actually meant to be an open conversation. You just share with us your views and that would be lovely. Thank you.
After going up and down that river all them years and working out there on the farms, we've got two of the biggest dams in Australia. One's over that side in Western Australia and one's up that side in Queensland. They pour that much water out to the sea all year round, whether there's a drought on or no drought. We're fortunate enough to have the Vertican Dam, about 150 k's out of Townsville. There's a river that probably no people would know, because I study it hard, and they call it the Ballyambo. And that runs from that Vertican way out into the outback, down Charleville way, but not quite to Charleville. And it runs out. Then we've got another river that runs into the Darling River, and they call it the Warrego. That pipeline that's been built up here in a year and a half could be built out there. You wouldn't even need it because there's a lot of river base. And that two rivers joined, the Darling River would run forever, because the amount of water that goes out to sea every 12 months would just float that along beautifully. Menindee would be great. I got photos just back there I brought in today to show Menindee 5 years ago, and we called in up there to show my partner. We went out to the Sunset Strip and people invited us. We had coffee and there just looks like one big paddock. No water there. I've spent a lot of time in Menindee camping up there, having wonderful times, fishing and stuff. And all of a sudden, 2 years ago, we went back out there and we took our fishing rods on the way home from a caravan trip and we fished. There was enough water up there 2 years ago for 6 years of drought. You tell me who's responsible for letting that water go twice. Now, when Penny Wong done what she done to us in Burke, they didn't say sorry. They weren't worried. Who gives care about people making a living? We're hearing about so many things in the environment and all these sort of things. I know, we've got to have the environment. But when you get people out there, you've got to be paid some money. Now, we need water to earn money. Money will never be more valuable than a drop of water. They're asking people in Melbourne now to cut back from 170 litres a day as the average use of a person back to 120 because they're running out of water. We've got a Murray system here that's not looking too good right now. 6 weeks ago I was in Albury, and you know what I've seen? I went out the Hume Weir, I wanted to go out and see it, and have a guess what I saw? Signs up everywhere on the Hume Weir. Do not swim in this river, Hume Weir. Over the other side of the weir, I took the photos, and the amount of dead fish that were there was incredible. Nothing said about it. That was 40% of water then. Last Friday, it had 24% of water left in it. I'm going up there on Sunday to have another look to get photos, and it's exactly the same with the Darling system. The best river I've ever looked at, I've been up and down there for 30 years, all those big deep banks, and yet not one bright person has come along and said, hey, we could build banks across here, little miniature weirs, every 50 k's. We'd have water forever because we'd just gradually take the flow. No one wants to do it. And yet we can give overseas money $6 billion a year We can't even help our farmers or our people. Here we have a system that's going bad, and if we don't get rain in the next 2 months, this Murray River is going to be in serious trouble. Because when I left Albury, I went right down through Murchison, Churka, way down the back there, and looked at all those lakes down there, and they're nearly all empty. Right up the eastern side of Australia, all those dams are virtually empty. Toowoomba, last week, is going to start sucking water out of the Waivinho Dam because they ain't got water. This is out of Brisbane's water, but nothing much. They're all keeping quiet. No one wants to say a thing. And all I can say, people, we have got to stand up. We cannot afford to bring more people into this country because every person that comes into this country, whether they're good or bad, forget about that side of it, they drink water. They use water. We ain't got the water.
Can I just ask, Bob, you said you've been taking photos in
Yep.
different places. How many years have you been documenting the condition of these rivers?
Ever since I've been going up and down and working out at Walgett and working out at Burren Junction, we used to knock off for a weekend when we were carting our grain, and never guess what we used to do. We used to go out in these little underground water. We'd come up the beautiful spa. We used to hop in the spas all the time, and we'd go and catch yabbies for feed at night. Go out there now in the last 10 years, you will not do any of that anymore. There's no underground water coming up. Last year, called into Cunnamulla. I always go back to Cunnamulla through all those countries. Stayed the night there and talked to people. Went to fuel up next morning on the way out and we couldn't fuel up. You know why? Because the emus wouldn't let us. There was that many emus around that service. I got the photos at home on that. It was incredible. So they hunted the emus out because a little bit of green grass around there, and those poor emus were just absolutely starving. Then we come back to Cobar, then went out to the McCulloch's Ranges, and we stayed there and had dinner. And you'll never guess what happened out there. It's a beautiful setting up in the McCulloch's. You people know the McCulloch's out there. It's beautiful, isn't it? All that scenery. And those goats, it was while the ZAR was sitting on the table while we're trying to have our dinner. And lucky I had a loaf of bread in the back of the ute. I was able to feed them while we're feeding us. And we got water for them, left water there for those goats. And it's just sad to see all that beautiful country out there. And I've been going through Wilcannia and all those countries 30 years non-stop and seeing that beautiful country out to Menindee, and to see what governments have done and all our bureaucrats, and not one of them, no, I'm wrong when I say that, because Bromley Bishop has been fighting and fighting all her life to get exactly what I was saying about the Vertigan Dam into the Warrego. She has been fighting and everyone's condemned her, and Barnaby Joyce has too.
So, Bob, we're just about out of time. If you've got any, if we've got copies of your photos that show the condition of land or country in certain years compared to certain years, you're very welcome to send that, email that through or hand it to us.
I can't email it.
Oh, that's okay. We might be able to find ways to get it. But if, for anyone who's been taking photos of country and looking at it and can sort of show other people the story of that, then that would be kind of helpful. So, but I think that's all we've got time for now.
To see these towns the way they are today, and the help people need, we need to stand up with our governments. And I'm good friends with a couple of politicians, and they know what I'm like. I ring them up. I stayed at Moree just the last 2 years up there, and Moree has fallen in a heap. The whole area, all round everywhere, just fallen down, smashed up. You've got to see it to believe it. And all these towns are just going backwards so fast, we'll never rebuild it. They'll be all trying to live in cities and we can't do it.
Thank you so much for your time today, Bob. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.